This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight we're going to talk about 2 different earthquakes. A political earthquake, of course, that took place with the big socialist wins last night. Everybody's talking about it. We were here live when the news was breaking here on the Rita Cosby Show. And also tonight, some very sad news about other earthquakes that are taking place in Venezuela. This is very scary. Apparently, a very strong series of earthquakes rocked right near Caracas. There was one that was said to be at least 7.1, possibly 7.2 quake. It was about 100 miles west of Caracas, but felt in Caracas with buildings shaking and collapsing. And another one, a 7.5. These are major, major earthquakes that happened just about a minute later, an aftershock. And apparently there are high casualties. So we will try to get an update on that. The U.S. Geological Survey telling everybody that there may be some very sadly significant casualties, thousands upon thousands that have taken place. These earthquakes are huge. Buildings, the images that we have seen really are showing ceilings collapsing, full buildings collapsing, some of them also near the airport, and very, very chaotic images coming out of Venezuela. And as soon as we get more details, we will definitely bring that to you. But very sad news where there are reports that thousands, maybe tens of thousands may have died with a series of very powerful earthquakes out of Venezuela. And, of course, our thoughts and prayers with the people there tonight. Meantime, of course, everybody, when you think of Venezuela, you also think about socialism. And last night, there were enormous, enormous wins for the Democratic Socialists. And that is really troubling news when you see what has happened to not just the Democratic Party in New York, but the message that it sends as a whole. And the entire country has been watching it. Just a little bit ago, President Trump kicked off his America 250. He had a lot of singers, and he had the flyover with the F-35 and the band and the whole to-do. But just a little bit before, all he could talk about was the communist takeover of New York and elsewhere. And it is definitely troubling. Do you think the Democratic Party is on the verge of collapse? This, I think, is the new Democratic Party, you guys. And I think that's really bad news, not just for the Democratic Party, but for America. And the size of the wins is huge when you look at it. And one of them, it was like double the amount. The other one was pretty close to that. The other one inked it out, but also it was low voter turnout. And when I was looking at who some of the voters were, white women predominantly, and also younger people too as well. So what's going on with the Democratic Party and also America's youth? Clearly, it's some of the ones that are out there protesting on these college campuses, and they're now running for office. And let's get it straight. One of the people who won, this Daria Liza Avila Chevalier. She is the one who ousted Adriano Espaillat. He was head of the Hispanic caucus in Congress, beloved in Congress and in the Democratic Party. And she used to run Students for Palestine, Students for Justice in Palestine, after she did a summer internship in the West Bank. And then she was one of the folks who was part of the 2024 campus takeover at Columbia University. Are you seeing a troubling trend here? I sure am. those protests that not just rock Columbia University, but rock so many college campuses, started the trend of all these like takeovers of campuses that we saw in the summer of 2024. And this woman was one of the organizers of it. You can't make it up. And they want more of it. So buckle up, because if they make it to Congress, and they probably will, guys, obviously, because it's a heavy Democratic district, this is a really troubling trend. And we're going to see a lot more protests on the street. Their attitude is our way or no way. This is really a dangerous situation, and that's why it's important to raise the alarm bells. And people should have gotten out and vote. They're saying it was about 7% voter turnout for her. 7%. Are you kidding me? People need to get out and vote and have their voices heard and say, no, we are not going to accept that. But yet, a very small amount, yet a diehard dedicated amount, has ousted some major incumbents in the Democratic Party. And now you've got these crazy people like this Daria Lisa Chevalier. She just recently said she is fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. Yeah, you heard it right. That's her platform, the total eradication of Western civilization. This is just sheer lunacy. And yet I hope that the Republicans make it crystal clear, you guys, when they get out there and say it's a choice between common sense and downright crazy. It should hopefully make the choice even more clear, but also the voice of getting out and voting even more prevalent as well. Here is President Trump just a little bit ago talking about the communist cometh. Here it is.
Buying a home is unattainable for so many Americans. Is this election legislation more important to you than resolving the housing?
This is every election's important. We're doing very well. They want a lot of communists to come in. I'm saying it a little bit differently, but the people that they're pushing are communists, and this country is not going to have communists. Thank you very much.
But it already has some communists that are out there, and they don't even make any bones about it. Abolish ICE, abolish prisons, no deportation, defund the police. The list goes on and on. Non-citizens voting. This is sheer lunacy. And yet they are totally taking over the Democratic Party. They're the loudest voices. The others can't even get a word in edgewise. And they're the ones who are getting people at least galvanized to vote. That should have been a wake-up call with Zoran Mondani, and now it's on steroids with three of his big candidates. He had a clear sweep. It was a clear message, and it is clear trouble for the United States. Here's Van Jones, a Democrat. He's on CNN, and this was his reaction to the New York primaries.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both it's a power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head to head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. And there's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat who's on the election, who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency. And the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
Yeah, there was no way around it. And that's from a Democrat. They're in mourning now, the quote, established Democrats. And Dan Goldman, who got ousted, he was the one who got booted out by Brad Lander, another Mamdani-backed candidate. I mean, he was the guy who was leading the impeachment proceedings against President Trump. This wasn't like a common, cool, collect, quiet Democrat. This was like one of the boisterous, crazy ones before this. Now you got crazy on steroids after the wins last night. And here is Ro Khanna. This is the guy. This guy, I've lost all respect for this guy. This guy is Democrat from California. He's the one who's been supporting Graham Plattner with no wavering, saying, oh, yeah, he's great. People change. Don't worry about that Nazi tattoo. Everything is fine. No problems there whatsoever. I mean, that's just lunacy, sheer lunacy. But now he's going around saying what a star Mamdani is. So he's happy he's got Mamdani, and he's happy that Graham Plattner is still in the race. Listen to this guy, because he thinks that Mamdani is the cat's meow.
But I do believe that this shows two things. First, Mamdani is a star. Anyone dismissing him is just naive and out of touch. He is one of the 5 most consequential Democrats in the nation right now, and people should treat him with respect. And the second thing is that the progressive movement is on the ascendancy in the House of Representatives and across the country. And the idea of just saying, oh, this is New York, is just not true. We've been winning in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey, in Michigan, in Maine, and this is really where the energy of the party is.
Wow. One of the 5 most consequential Democrats in politics today. That is incredibly, that you know what? I hate to say, he's probably right. He is probably right, given the fact that he had a clean sweep last night, and given the fact that he has been boisterous, he's been out there, he's been unabashed. He says he's not wavering. I'm not saying it's good news. The only good news here, by the way, is that he was born in Uganda, because that means he can't run for president. Because I can tell you, he probably would try to run for president. And since he can't run for president because he was born in Uganda, AOC is probably going to run for president after the win last night. That's the sad reality, that AOC, I believe, will really step up. And she's going to say, oh, yeah, gosh, I have Zoran Mamdani. I have the power of all these Democratic Socialists. We have a message. We have this. We have that. We're going to go for it. That is a really sad testament. Meantime, listen to what the crowd was chanting. This is at Claire Valdez. This is one of the ones who won last night, one of the Democratic Socialists. And they were chanting. They saw Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, on the TV. And they started chanting, basically, you are next. In other words, anybody who's not with them 1,000% is gone. So listen to the chants last night. Here it is.
You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next. You're next. Some other kind of process before they could come in.
Wow, you are next. You are next. And listen, Hakeem Jeffries ultimately ended up supporting Mamdani. It's not like he's a naysayer. He's been folding pretty much, but it's not enough for them. These people will eat their young. We've seen it time and time again. If you're not 1,000% with them, Adriano Espaillat endorsed Mamdani. He was supportive of Mamdani, but it wasn't good enough for these people. He wasn't loony enough. So listen to this. Who else, of course, would a victory party be complete without but Hassan Piker, America Deserved 9/11? Listen to what he said last night, because he said his next victim, he says, is Richie Torres, Democrat who won very handily last night in his primary. But he made the fatal mistake in Hassan Piker's mind because he has supported Israel. Listen to this.
Hey, after tonight, my price went up. You have to be a Democratic Socialist if you want some of this shine. Sorry. 3 for 3, baby. Not even 3 for 3. 9 for 10. Conrad is the only one who didn't make it. Conrad Blackburn is the only one that on the DSA slate that didn't make it, I think. Richie Torres, I know you won tonight. I didn't even look at your race. You probably won, you piece of. Remember, I was coming for you, but you got lucky this time. But I'll see you in 2. I'll see you in 2, mother. I know you stopped talking. I know you stopped talking about Israel, Richie Torres. What happened? I'll see you in 2 years, mother. Just wait. Richie, I'm coming for you, Richie. I'm coming for you, too.
This is our city.
You think it's sweet? Sit on that seat for the next 2 years. I'll see you in 2, Richie. I hope you remember that. Every day, every time there's a decision that you can make where you are pro-Israel, I hope you remember you got 2 more years, mother. 2 more years. You better act right, Richie.
Getting up tomorrow morning, you can sleep in. But after that,
just wait.
Please show up. Our amazing slate.
That's incredible. That's Hassan Piker, who's friends with Zoran Mamdani. And you just heard that is the message for every single Democrat right now. Every single reasonable Democrat, like Richie Torres, who was a big supporter and still is of Israel. And obviously he did the fatal flaw of supporting Israel in Hassan Piker's mind. You've got an anti-Semite with a foul mouth, and they will take down anybody in their path. This is really dangerous. America, wake up. We're going to talk about this when we come back. 1-800-848-9222. And we'll be right back here on The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's go to your calls, guys. Boy, is there a lot to talk about tonight. Let's go to Al in Yonkers, line 3. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, hi, Rita. I just want to say in regards to Richie Torres, you know, Richie Torres represents a district that I frequent a lot. Even though I live in the north end of Yonkers, I'm in Riverdale a lot. And I could tell you something. He represents a district that is heavily Jewish. It's allegiance. It's pro-Israel. It's not like Jewish areas like Park Slope or the Upper West Side. And 2 years in politics is a long time. But Richie Torres will be there a long time, and
not if Hassan Piker has his way about it. I mean, I find it disgusting, Al. That yes. I agree with you. I've met Richie Torres. He's a very decent man. He's been a great supporter of Israel, and he's been a great supporter of his constituents. And yet, that's the problem for Hassan Piker.
Yeah, exactly. But Piker won't have – it's not a pro-Palestinian district at all. Richie Torres has a good relationship with the Dinowitzes, who are the politicians there for a long time.
The problem is, so Adriano Espaillat had a great connection with the Hispanics. And look what happened to him.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Ocean Bay Park, New York, where Suffolk County Police Marine Bureau officers helped save a 19-year-old woman who was pulled unresponsive from a pool. The officers were on foot patrol when they heard screams coming from a backyard. They responded to the screams, and upon arriving at the scene, they learned that a woman who police described as a child care provider had gone underwater and had failed to resurface. The homeowner entered the pool, pulled her out, and began CPR. The officers then immediately took over the CPR, and thankfully the woman regained consciousness after expelling water and beginning to breathe on her own again. The officers then transported her to a local hospital. She was listed in stable condition and thankful, needless to say, to be alive. Thanks to those officers who heard the screams and followed them and saved that woman in dire need. Boy, oh boy. Well, we are talking about the socialist scourge. It's a plate of hate, if you will, and there's so much that they're against. We talked about the prisons, that we talked about them not wanting deportation. These people are really out of their mind. This is a very, very dangerous time in America. And I contend, I said this when Zoran Mondani was running, that this is a true believer. This is not like somebody who's just saying something for political gain or something kooky that people go, oh, why did he say that? In this particular case, it is obviously very clear that these people are also true believers. They're Democratic Socialists of America. They're socialists. They're hardcore. And they don't seem to like America. At least they want to get rid of Western civilization as we know it. That's part of their mantra. It's part of their plan. I mean, is that crazy or what? And so the question is the Democratic Party, do you think, going to hit rock bottom first before it can turn around? Some people say, okay, this is going to be short-lived. I sadly don't think it is going to be short-lived. I think this is the beginning of a very painful period in the Democratic Party. And then imagine if some of these individuals are just the beginning, just sort of the linchpin. What if they get the House in November? And there's a good chance they might. You don't know. It's going to be tight. But if they can get the House in November, all bets are off. That these people are going to rule the roost. And then these people who say, oh, we got to defund ICE, we got to defund police, we got to have an open border. I mean, what kind of planet are these people living in? But those people might be ruling the agenda of the Democratic Party, i.e. the House of Representatives. And what if they get the Senate too? This is a frightening place to be. This is very, very serious. And the results could be catastrophic. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. What do you make of this win by three very extreme candidates, knocking out establishment candidates, and those that are in their wake still, like Richie Torres? You just heard Hassan Piker saying, we're coming for you next, Richie. You made the fatal mistake of supporting Israel. And if you look at some of the exit polls, you saw people being interviewed, by the way, on their way out. And they were saying, support for Israel was a big issue for me. That's why I voted for some of these candidates. So there's a very troubling anti-Semitic trend happening in this country. And we better wake up. It's not just with the young people. It's with a lot of others as well. And take a listen, because at one of the victory parties last night, one of the winners was Claire Valdez. And this is in New York 7. She ousted, it was a race for an open seat there with Antonio Reynoso from Brooklyn. She got him at least 20% above him. I mean, that was a big win. There's no doubt about it. And at her election night celebration, guess what they were chanting? They were slamming AIPAC, which is the Jewish lobbying group. Listen to this. Yeah, blank you, AIPAC, blank you, AIPAC, blank you, AIPAC. And here is Brad Lander. He was on MS Now, and he said it is very clear why he and these other two loonies got elected. Listen to this.
If you had to distill it down, though, where do you think establishment and incumbent Democratic candidates went wrong here?
I mean, I think a few places. First, people taking money from corporate PACs, from Wall Street and private equity and crypto and AI and APAC. Voters are done with that. They can see through it. Second, we need to fight harder for working families against Trump, of course, but also for the billionaires and bullies and rigged system that empower him. And we can't be a party that compromises on some people's humanity. Democratic voters are saying loud and clear they don't want to pay for any more of Netanyahu's wars, and they need that change in the party.
And so Mamdani today, the new kingmaker, according to everybody, says that voters are hungry for change, that they're thirsty for change, that they want something new. So what, they're willing to have people who say we want the end of Western civilization, we want wide open borders, there should be no border patrol? Can you imagine what America would look like, again, if they were in control of the House, the Senate, and what if they're in control of the White House in a few years? How scared should we be? I would be extremely concerned for our country. I'm very worried for the future of our country when I see these people resounding and I see the other Democrats shaking in fear, just like they were against Mamdani when Mamdani was running. And after he was elected, remember, it was like, Mr. Mayor, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? It's like they're afraid to go up against them. They're afraid not to embrace somebody like a Hassan Piker. They're afraid not to embrace some of these others, to offend them. That's a dangerous place to be if they feel they have no backbone and no spine. And here is Daria Liza Avila Chevalier. This is the one who beat Adriano Espaillat. We were talking with Al from Yonkers earlier. He's a well-regarded guy. Hispanic, head of the Hispanic caucus, had been there for many years in Congress, well-liked, but not far left enough for these loonies. And listen to what Daria Liza Avila Chevalier said. She started talking, this is her recently, talking about bashing Israel. You'll hear her bash AIPAC, the Jewish lobbying group, again. And then she starts talking about why she converted to Islam because it's such a part of her life. Listen to this.
I know that we all deserve a representative who isn't bought by AIPAC. I'm also the only Muslim in my family. I reverted 3 years ago. Actually, the friend who pushed me to do it asked me, why have you fasted for 4 years and yet you haven't taken your shahada? She's here today. And when she asked me that, I thought, that is a great question. And I thought for myself why I hadn't taken the step yet. But it was seeing how all of my friends who were showing up to organizing, who are Muslim, were showing up in the space, and the grace and love and passion that they had in these spaces of social justice, that really pushed me to join the faith. And wanting to make sure that we are reflecting that I'm reflecting that in every space that I'm in, and that, inshallah, if we make it to Congress, that we're reflecting that in the halls of power as well.
Buckle up. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Don in Long Beach on line 1. Go ahead, Don.
Hi, Rita. How are you?
Good. What are you thinking?
Okay, I have 2 comments. The second one is going to shock the listeners. My first comment is the Democratic Party is analogous to an empty house with a door to the right and a door to the left. To the door on the right left people like Manchin, Sinema, Dershowitz, and me. And on the other side of the house with the left, outside is a rabble stirring a witch's brew. They call themselves Democratic Socialists. They're whatever you want to call them. They're not Democrats.
I call them loonies.
Huh?
I call them loonies, Don.
Loonies. All right, here's the shocking statement. Get ready for this.
All right, we're ready, Don.
All right, should AOC be elected President of the United States, she will be in charge of America's nuclear arsenal.
Don, you know what? You're giving me a heart attack in a lot of ways, but you are absolutely correct. And sadly, I think she's going to run, and I think she has a chance to win. Not the do I want it, you guys. Yeah. But if you look at what happened last night, she certainly, I think, is going to feel emboldened to at least run, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I'm just hoping that the country is smarter, never to elect her, but
I hope so too. But then look at those. You know what's interesting, Don? I was reading the percentage of voter turnout, that it was 7% that voted for Chevalier. So 7% of the population is deciding very dangerous individuals. There's a lot of messages behind that. It means that people are not getting out to vote, and that's dangerous. Yeah. And it also means that those who are sort of the most galvanized, the ones that are kind of tepid and stay home and hope somebody else does the voting. You can't expect that. It's a very slim margin. The good news is, you got to get galvanized. You can't sit home.
I know that's always the case with primaries. They have a very low turnout, and people. I mean, they're not stupid. These people are smart enough to run candidates. They know that there's going to be a low turnout, and they push those candidates and they win. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. Now, let me ask you this. Do you believe that there'll be others among that batch? Or do you think AOC, if she runs, is going to be the Democratic Socialist candidate? Do you think there'll be others vying for that? I think so. I hear stories around the country. There are certain pockets, certain areas where they're pushing those kind of candidates, and it's scary. It really is. They're not, as I say, they're not stupid. They know where to go, what candidates to push, and unfortunately, those folks have won, and maybe not by big margins, but they win. Yeah. By the way, and as we're learning, you don't have to have a big margin. I mean, in the Espaillat race, Adriano Espaillat and Darlisa Chevalier, who's probably the most radical of all of them, she won by 2,300. And look at the population of New York City, but she won by a little over 2,000 is what decided. So like you said, they're very organized. And same thing happened with Mondani. They didn't really see him coming. At one point, he was 1%. And then, of course, he handily won that primary, and it was off to the races. We need candidates, somebody to oppose these people. Somebody's got to mobilize and get other candidates in motion, that can face off against them and win. That's all I can say. Is it a Democratic problem or a Republican problem to get the best candidates? Because the problem is they're putting them in very safe Democratic districts. Yeah. So the Democratic Party has got to get their act together if they care about America and say, hey, maybe you don't agree with them, but they're not loonies. You need the people. That's what you got to do. But I don't see them doing it, Don. They don't have a spine. Yeah, it's scary. It is scary. Pray, Don, for America. Great points, though, Don. And I like you being at the door on the right. That's a good sign. Yep. Don, thank you very, very much. Let's go to Casey in Detroit. Line 4. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey, Rita, this is my point. And it's great to talk to you. I think that the Trump deranged syndrome in the Democratic Party is causing the normal Democrats, and this goes back to Nancy Pelosi, too, that they're afraid to go against the socialists because they might be America first. And I think that's... Wait. Who's America first? Which group is America first? There's Democrats that would believe in... Look at Fetterman. Nobody's going to challenge Fetterman in his district. Oh, you got to be kidding me. They're going to challenge him like crazy in the next go-round, for sure. But he's going to win because he is a centrist. And the Democratic Party's got to get back to that. I agree. By the way, Casey, you and I agree on that. What I don't agree on is that he won't get primaried. I think they would love to. He might get primaried, but he's going to win because I don't think his constituency is going to go for this socialist.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are so many common sense folks that, but you could even make the case in some of these other districts. You know, what's been troubling is it's not just New York, and there's Holloway in New Jersey. There's the guy in Pennsylvania. There's somebody in North Carolina. You certainly have that El Said guy in Michigan. They're in
that's terrible.
It's scary. That's what I'm saying. And you can't bank that they're not going to try to put all efforts and put some well-funded DSA person to try to knock off Fetterman, sadly.
Oh, but you know what? But they got to stop them. But I think Trump derangement syndrome is stopping the Democrats from fighting these socialists head on, because when you fight the socialists, then you're looking for America first.
Oh, that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point.
And Nancy Pelosi is the real ringleader under Obama. When those people goose step in the Democrats goose step in they're lockstep. Oh
yeah, that's the problem, Casey. You hit it on the head that they are lockstep, and when they vote, they're lockstep. As we saw today, that's not always the case with the Republicans. You know, there's a lot of different personalities, and even if they do disagree, even if there are some America First Democrats, more common sense ones, they're scared to death of these others. They're scared of their shadows. And they're not going to take them on. Just like you said, they're going to say, okay, whatever you want, because they don't want to be primaried. They want to vote in numbers, and they're going to have to acquiesce to these lunatics to follow a policy that they can all agree on. Because I don't see these loonies coming to the table on issues that might be anything resembling America First. And that's really sad. That's why this is a dangerous place, Casey, and everything matters, especially with the midterms coming up. Casey, you got to call back again. Great points. 1-800-848-9222 is the number to call, and we'll continue with your calls right after the break.
The Rita Cosby Show. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And when we come back, we'll continue to talk about the socialist surge. Also, there are reports tonight that there are high casualties probable from a series of earthquakes in Venezuela. We'll hopefully have the latest on that, praying that maybe there is good news, but some massive earthquakes shaking Venezuela, not too far from Caracas. And also President Trump trying to push the SAVE Act, trying to push for voter ID. It sounds pretty basic. Guess what? When Mamdani needed somebody to shovel the snow, he asked for ID. You had to have ID to do that. You have to have ID to rent a library book. And yet for some reason to vote in federal elections, you don't need to have it. That's a problem, guys. I say bravo to President Trump, and hopefully he can pass the SAVE Act. But he's even having a little bit of battles even within the Republican Party. And guess what? They need the 60 votes to pass, and no Democrat's going to do it. Not a single Democrat wants to do it. Even though if you look at the polls, seems like Republicans and Democratic citizens do want voter ID because they understand the importance. It's just the politicians that don't. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Max in Manhattan, line 1. Go ahead, Max.
Rita, thank you for taking my call. Let's not forget, when Mamdani starts talking about the DSA, he mentions inshallah. This isn't our fault. Excuse me, this is not his fault. This is our fault. He's mentioning it. He's telling us where he's aiming to, what he wants to do. He openly. So this is our fault for falling for it. Giuliani warned us about these electronic voting machines, and we should be taking his advice.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Max. You talked about Mamdani, and there is no doubt, you're right. He came right out. He wasn't hiding it. I mean, during the primary, he wouldn't answer. Remember the question, what does globalized intifada mean? And he gave the biggest word salad that made him look like a champion of word salads, even better than Kamala. So they're telegraphing who they are. And sadly, they're sticking to the playbook. And you're right. People, wake up.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?